Don't forget to put the date at the top of this paper. Let's get into shape. So the last video we talked about SUCS, S-U-C-S, shape, unusual features, center, and spread. Today we're going to really dive into shape and talk very specifically about what you may put or what are some options for you when you're asked to describe the shape. So there's three real things we talk about: symmetric, skewed right, and skewed left. And honestly, most of the data we do in this class is going to fall into one of those three categories. There's also uniform, maybe an option, where it's just straight across. Sometimes we'll see those. So symmetric is going to be when the left and right sides approximately mirror each other. That does not necessarily mean it's a bell shape. So a lot of people, when they see symmetric, they want to go ahead and say bell-shaped or bell curve. And that's what you think of when you think of symmetric. However, things could be symmetric and not bell curved. So for example, there could be two peaks and they could be symmetric. Those don't look super symmetric. One at the same height as the other. So that's an option for symmetry as well. They do not necessarily have to be a bell curve. We talked a little bit last video about right and left skewed. Let's really dive into what those mean. It can be really easy to confuse them because when it's skewed to the right, there's more data on the left. That means that the right side is longer than the left side. So the majority of the data is concentrated over here, and there's less data over here on the right. So we think of this as right skewed because the tail is to the right. This little tail. Left skewed is the opposite direction. There's more data to the left and there's more data to the right over here, and it trails off to the left. So that's the difference between left and right skewed data. You could also talk about how many peaks it has. So if it's unimodal, it has a single peak. Bimodal has 2 peaks, and multimodal has 3+ peaks. And that's another option for you. Okay, let's talk about example 3. We're talking about shoes. Example 9. Wow, excuse me. We're talking about students, and they conducted a survey to figure out how many shoes a typical teenager has. We're looking only at female students right now. We'll look at the male data on the next page. First thing we're going to do is create a stem plot. You have probably created stem plots a long time ago. So let's remember if we haven't already. Sometimes they are called stem and leaf plots, and we use them a lot in statistics. So the first thing you'll want to do is put a line down your page. You don't need as much space over here as you do over here. And if you remember the stem and leaf plot, this is the stem, and these are going to be all the leaves. So this is going to be the tens place, and these are going to be all the ones places. So for example, the lowest number I see on here is 13. So I'm going to put a 1 here and a 3 here. So 1 line 3 equals 13. Having a key is going to be really important. I see another 13 on there. So as opposed to writing it down here, I'm going to keep my same stem and make another leaf. So another 13. I see another 13. So there's 13. The next highest number is 15. 15 still starts with a 1. So now I'm going to have a leaf of 5. And I believe that's all. Oh, there's a 19. So we need to put 19 under that same stem. Okay, I'm done with all the 10s. So now I'm going to move into the 20s. So I'll make a new stem, the 2. That's not super focused. It claims it is. So let's find all of our leaves that have a stem of 2. The lowest one is 22. Cross it off as I go. That way I don't double count it. There's a 23, 2 23s. 24. And there's two 26s. So we'll put two 6s on there. Okay, done with the 20s. Ready for the 30s. There is a 30 and a 31. There's a 38 here and a 34. I think that's it. There's only one in the 40s. It's 49. In the 50s, I have 50 twice, 51 and 57. Okie dokie. So there's my stem plot. We need to describe the shape of the stem plot. Now, what's kind of cool about stem plots is actually they could function kind of like a dot plot. So if I turn my paper to the side, this is kind of like having a dot plot a little bit if I grouped all the 10s together, all the 20s together, all the 30s together, and so on. So if we want to describe the shape, again, sometimes I think it's easier if you kind of trace over it at the top so we can see what's happening. And I'm going to argue that this shape is skewed. Now we have to decide which direction it's skewed. There is more data over here to the left. It trails off to the right, so it is right skewed. And yes, it comes up a little bit here at the end, but for the most part, the majority of the data is over here and it trails off. So I am going to describe this guy as right skewed or skewed to the right. Okay, so the next page, we have some data from the males at the school. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a back-to-back stem plot, which is a good way to organize something when you're going to make some comparisons, which guess what? That's what we're going to do, make some comparisons between male and female. And we're actually going to split the stems too. So what I mean by split the stems is it's kind of a lot of data to group everything from 10 to 19 together. It's kind of a lot of data. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to go everything from 0 to 4 goes in one stem. Everything from 5 to 9 goes in another stem. So I've done the female data already here. So these two are actually the same data, except that I've A, split the stems, and B, it's on the opposite side, but it's still going to be the same. So what you might notice here, I have zeros because the male data includes things that start with 0. Instead of putting 3, 3, 3, 5, 9, which actually looks like I missed one, I put 3, 3, 3 in one, and 5 and 9 go in the other. Instead of putting 2, 3, 3, 4, 6, 6, 2, 3, 3, 4 are here, 6 and 6 are here. Okay, in the 30s, everything from 30 to 34 goes here, 35 to 39 goes here. There's nothing from 40 to 45, from 40 to 44, I'm sorry. From 45 to 49, we just have 49. 50, 50, and 51 are here. 57 is down here. Okay, so what I want you to do is for the male data, which is this data over here, I want you to fill in the stems on the other side, splitting your stems, crossing things off as you go, and then you can check yours with mine. Okay, so go ahead and fill that in, and then you can check your answer. All right, so here is the male data. I'm already starting to see some differences and some similarities that are happening here. You might be seeing the same things. So we've got our male data, we've got our female data. Make sure you label it, the labels at the top. And then the last thing we're going to do today is compare the two of those things. Make sure you use your comparison words. You'll also want to compare talking about the shape. And then the other things you can start to talk about maybe some unusual features, maybe the center and the spread, and we'll do those more informally than we will with the shape. Okay, but make sure, again, you're using the comparison words. And then share your responses, and you can read what your classmates have said. Okay, answering part D down here. That's the end.